we interrupt the waves music to bring you an interview from Contamination, St. Louis's own sci-fi, horror, and pop culture convention.
Well, I'm Gabby, and I'm with KCFV 89.5 The Wave, and I have Vincent Churchill here with me today. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I see that you write horror, is that correct?
Yeah, horror, dark thrillers. The new book is like a superhero horror mashup, illustrated. But yeah, it's always been the dark fiction.
What inspired you to write dark fiction or horror?
It's going to sound a little silly. My mom
We love silly.
grew up, well, like twofold. I grew up with my mom taking me to the drive-in all the time, and then along with that, she was a big fan of like the old black and white thrillers, like the Joan Crawford, Bette Davis thrillers. So between those two, it's two different kind of movies, but yeah, that's where it comes from.
And with your latest work, one of the books that you had showed, Jazz Hands, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hyde is an erotic thriller. It's got some imagery in it. If it were a movie, it would definitely be NC-17. It's, let me think, if I could do it in like a log line, it would be, I'm trying to think of something that would be more you guys' age, because I get all my images I'm thinking of is all older stuff. But it's basically, it's a kind of a self-discovery thing. You've got kind of a serial kidnapper who basically kidnaps women not to assault them, but to basically take them on like a sexual self-discovery journey.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
And when you write your novels or your pieces, what type of mindset do you have to go into, or what is your process when it comes to writing?
You try to be honest. You try to tell the truth. So if you have the story in your head, you just tell the story. You don't get caught up in, and I think it comes with kind of maturity and with experience. You don't get caught up in, oh, my friends are going to read this or my teacher's going to read this. You just tell the story, and any intelligent person would understand it's a story, so they don't get this whole thing like, oh, where did this come from? Where, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing, is that you just be honest and truthful about the story. Because once you have something done and you look back and you say, oh, the character really should have been older, younger, whatever, but you kind of hedge because you feel like, you know, you want it to be more for mass consumption, then that will stay with you for a while, because you weren't really being honest with yourself when you wrote it. So it's just like, you know, if you sculpt, sometimes you can sculpt something that you know you will sell, or you sculpt something that you really want to sculpt that you think there's someone out there who want to buy it. And it's the same thing with the book. I try to be honest with the story, and then I'm a freak, so I know there are other freaks out there, and you know, they'll find me, I find them, and everybody's happy.
Absolutely. How long have you been writing?
I've been writing since I have a report card my mom saved from second grade that said I was writing little stories in second grade. My first book came out in 2002.
Wow. And out of all that you've written, what would you say would be your favorite piece of work that you've done?
I would say Butcher Bride, because everybody loves Butcher Bride. It's kind of a throwback 80s slasher haunted house thing, but it's sexy, it's violent. I call it dark deviancy to it. And it was a book where I really had to sit and just literally write down to myself, just tell the story and not get caught up in, you know, it's going too far, you're jumping too many lines, and people loved it. But I was surprised how many people, when they read it, they were like, you know, yeah, it's really ugly, but in a good way. Yeah.
And do you have any new projects that you would like to let the people know about?
That would be the new one, Midnight Eternal. It's like I said, it's timely because superheroes are popular now, Deadpool and the Avengers and, you know, Captain America. But it's original superheroes and villains. It's illustrated, so it's not, I call it an illustrated novel because it's not like a graphic novel, like a comic book, but a lot of illustrations. It's an adult read, so there's sex and violence. And I think people will like it. People like The Dark Knight if they like Watchmen. It's that kind of level, so yeah.
And for those that would like to find more information about you and find more about your writing, where can they find you?
They can go on Amazon. I have an author's page there, so they can just type in Vince Churchill. And as far as I know, there's just one of me on Amazon, so once you get the CHU, it hops right there. They can go to my website, which is just vincechurchill.com. Those are probably the two easiest places.
For more information about Contamination, check out their Facebook at facebook.com/contaminationstl. And for more interviews from the con, check out our Facebook at facebook.com/thewavestl. Stay tuned to 89.5 The Wave for more from Contamination.